I'm your host, and today we're diving into a fascinating interview with Nick Searcy, an acclaimed actor and filmmaker who's making waves with his latest projects. This conversation with Mike Adams on BrightLearn.com is packed with insights and revelations, so let's get right into it. Nick Searcy is no stranger to the entertainment industry, with a career spanning over 3 decades. He's known for his roles in shows like Justified and films like Castaway and Fried Green Tomatoes. But what really caught my attention is his recent work in documentary filmmaking, particularly his film Capital Punishment, which explores the events of January 6, 2021, and the subsequent treatment of the peaceful protesters. In the interview, Nick and Mike delve deep into the controversial and often misunderstood events of that day. Nick reveals that Capital Punishment was a film he felt compelled to make after realizing the extent of the misinformation and the harsh treatment of those who were there. He shares a powerful anecdote about a chance encounter in a Nashville butcher shop that ultimately convinced him to make a sequel, The War on Truth, which was released on May 17, 2024. One of the most striking points Nick makes is the stark contrast between how peaceful protesters from the January 6th event were treated compared to how left-wing protesters are often handled. He argues that many of the J6 protesters were essentially set up, with the National Guard conspicuously absent and the Capitol Police seemingly unprepared. This, he believes, was part of a larger plan to create a narrative that could be used against political opponents. The conversation also touches on the broader issues of censorship and the control of narratives in Hollywood. Nick shares his experiences with self-censorship and the pressure to conform to a specific political agenda. He explains how the industry has shifted from being audience-driven to being more about impressing each other with political correctness. This has led to a proliferation of films and shows that are more about ticking diversity boxes than telling compelling stories. Mike and Nick also discuss the influence of outside groups, such as the CDC and climate activists, on Hollywood content. They reveal that these groups often pay to have their messages embedded in films and TV shows, a practice that has been going on for decades but has become more pervasive and sinister in recent years. One of the most poignant moments in the interview is when Nick talks about the collapse of American institutions and the deliberate efforts to bring down the country. He believes that the economic and social turmoil we're seeing is not a result of incompetence, but a deliberate strategy to pave the way for a totalitarian state. Despite this grim outlook, Nick remains hopeful, emphasizing that the majority of Americans are decent people who will eventually rise up to reclaim their country. Nick's book, Justify This: A Career Without Compromise, offers a candid look at his journey from a small town in North Carolina to the heart of Hollywood. He shares stories of his roles, his experiences, and his unwavering commitment to his principles. The book was released on May 28, 2024, and is a must-read for anyone interested in the entertainment industry and the current state of America. In closing, Nick and Mike discuss the importance of supporting content that aligns with your values. They encourage listeners to check out Nick's films on platforms like Salem Now and to be discerning about the media they consume. Instead of funding woke propaganda, they suggest supporting projects that promote truth, freedom, and American values. So, folks, that's a wrap on today's episode. Be sure to check out Nick Searcy's films, including Capital Punishment and The War on Truth, and his book, Justify This: A Career Without Compromise. And, as always, stay informed, stay engaged, and support the content that matters to you. Thanks for tuning in, and God bless America. See you next time on BrightLearn.
This has been a BrightLearn.ai summary of an interview between Nick Searcy and Mike Adams on May 9, 2024. The full interview is available at BrightLearn.com, where you can also find podcasts and special reports by Mike Adams and other creators. Visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage of this interview and breaking news on critical stories that will keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.